Welcome back again to another installment of Master Craftsman Philosophy. This time we're digging into the 16th degree, Prince of Jerusalem. Another short section, just like the 15th degree, we're only talking a couple pages, beginning on page 315, ending on page 318. So crack open those books, let's get going. Remember, if you're a member of the Valley of St. Louis Master Craftsman Study Group, you want to have read the material before you listen to this lecture. It's going to be much more beneficial in that sense. Brethren, let's dive in. So here we go. The 16th degree, Prince of Jerusalem. The 16th degree continues the story of the 15th degree. We see the Zerubbabel again. The temple was started to be rebuilt. There was some work going on. Over time, those things didn't pan out. Just didn't work through, mostly because there were some adversaries locally, some tribes, some people who had resided in the area before the Jewish people came back. And in retaliation, they've attempted to hinder the work. Zerubbabel takes off, leaving Jerusalem again. This time he goes and meets with the new king, where several kings were moved from Cyrus. So we're now to Darush. If you read some of the older ritual, or Darius or Darius, and he meets with him. And that's where we begin with this degree. Just to kind of kick things off, I think this is interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about it later, but in the lecture, Pike talks about this idea that the whole world is God's temple, as is every upright heart. And for us, as princes of Jerusalem and Masonry in general, we're going to work to build the symbolic temple for all the world in every upright heart, using all the tools we brought to bear. And this is reiterated very early on in the lecture as it starts, and it says, "We no longer expect to rebuild the temple at Jerusalem. To all of us, it is but a symbol. To the whole world, of course, being God's temple in every upright heart." And he continues with that statement we've already talked about. "To establish all over the world this temple, this new law, through the reign of love, peace, charity, and truth. And in doing so, as well as toleration, we build that temple which is most acceptable to God, in erecting which, in that erection, of course, Masonry is now engaged." These are said to be the general duties of this degree. Were to direct those who build the symbolic temple, judge with fairness and equity, provide aid to other fellow princes of Jerusalem, keep faith in the beneficence of God, and press forward with hope for the persecuted and the oppressed. So again, we already touched a little bit on the introduction to this degree, this idea of rebuilding the temple at Jerusalem being a symbol, this idea that we must push on and labor, utilizing those skills and lessons of Masonry to erect the temple in this world that is most acceptable to God. That's our duty there. Emphasizing justice and equity in our behavior, we're reminded that princes of Jerusalem no longer sit as magistrates to judge between the people, nor is their number just limited to 5, as some of the ancient, if you will, charter state and paperwork states. Their duties still remain substantially the same, of course, and their insignia and symbols remain and continue with the old existence, which denotes their significance. Justice and equity are still, of course, their key characteristics. To reconcile disputes and dissensions, to restore amity and peace, to soothe dislikes, soften prejudices, are the peculiar duties. And they know that the peacemakers are blessed. Now, our work as princes of Jerusalem continues the ideas of the 15th degree, wherein we talk about this idea of laboring with the sword and trowel. In the 14th degree, we talk about this idea of laboring to worship. Here, Pike discusses the idea that labor ennobles the soul. And we learn that all Masonry is work. The trowel is an emblem of this degree, of course, in the council for our labor. And when rightly understood, it is both noble and ennobling. And it develops man's moral and spiritual nature. And it's not deemed a disgrace or a misfortune A life of labor is not a state of inferiority or degradation. The divine has ordained that work shall be done in all the dwellings of our life, and in every productive field, even in busy cities, in every wave of every ocean, we must work. We must labor. This masonry, of course, teaches us a great truth, a great moral landmark that ought to be the guide and course of all mankind. It teaches us that its toiling children, that the scene of our daily life is all spiritual. And the implements of our toil, the fabrics we weave, the merchandise we barter, they're designed for a spiritual end. And so, believing that our daily lives are worship or their labor, we may lift ourselves up towards the noblest improvements. Realizing that, realizing our efforts to lift ourselves up, we understand that as men we are given these great virtues by the Creator, and we learn that varying every hour, the million occasions which will come in which we may restrain our passions, subdue our hearts to gentleness and patience, resign our own interests for another's advantage, speak words of kindness and wisdom, rise the fallen, cheer the fainting and sick in spirit, and soften and assuage the weariness and bitterness of a moral fault. To every mason, there will be opportunity for these things to do. To this destiny, at least, brethren, we should all aspire. These laws of masonry, let us all strive to obey, and so may our hearts become true temples to the living God. May He encourage our zeal, sustain our hope, and assure our success. This degree is about understanding, at least in the lecture sense, that we're erecting spiritual temples. We're rebuilding spiritual temples, understanding our own qualities, the importance of laboring, build up ourselves, understanding that work, if you will, labor, if you will, is important. It is an exercise of the divine plan. It is using our talents for good and realizing that we have to strive to help others. It's a key part of this degree, and rounds out this degree as we've considered it. Again, very short lecture, some just hit on the nail precepts that explore the concepts of labor, rebuilding the temple, that type of thing, but very pertinent to this degree. Brethren, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of Master Craftsman Philosophy as we discuss the 16th degree. Join us next time. Have a great morning, evening, afternoon, good night, wherever it may be. We'll catch you next time.